We're in Jacksonville's newest community and probably going to be one of the hottest as they continue to develop it. And we're about to check out one of the very first models built in this community. So stay tuned because we're going to check that out. I'm going to go over just why this is going to be one of the newest and hottest communities here in Jacksonville in Northeast Florida. Let's get on into it. All right, let's begin this walkthrough of this beautiful floor plan. So as you see when you come in, it is pretty much just a straight walk in through. This specific plan does not have much of an open porch. We do still have those nice 9-foot doors, has the glass insert. And when we come in, you're gonna notice here, we have a nice tray ceiling in the foyer. Very popular, very common to have that. Just gives it a very, grander entrance, grander feel, obviously with the chandelier as well, or the light fixture. So just good across the board. In addition, we have nice smooth walls, which is not always a guarantee. It's nice to see that, and with some builders, it's an upgrade, while others, it might be more of a standard. Also, they did some nice wood elements on this wall as well to act as kind of like an accent wall when we do come in. In addition, this flooring here is going to be more of a vinyl or laminate material, but it still has a super clean look. You do have those small lines where they connect, and so that is something that if you don't love that, there are going to be other options, even with vinyl and laminate, that get rid of those lines and have the pieces kind of connect more like wood as well. So that's kind of a cool aspect that you can do with builders like this. Then it's going to take us over to our first bedroom and bathroom in this floor plan. So the first bathroom here, as you can see, they did a really nice white cabinetry with gold hardware. We also have a very sleek white countertop, which I really love. And then as far as the bathroom, as far as the shower is concerned, I do love the choice they made in here because a lot of times we get a lot of whites, a lot of blacks, a lot of grays, a lot of earthy tones. But here, they actually went with more of a green, thicker subway tile backsplash, or not backsplash, but tile enclosure. And they did it also in more of a herringbone design up to the ceiling, which is a great look, very clean look. And with the step down here, it's nice too because most of the water is going to be self-contained in the shower. In addition, we do have our niche in there, and that shower head is actually a pretty interesting shower head, just from a design standpoint. Then it takes us to our first bedroom. Now this bedroom, and keep in mind, as we walk through this home, these are all 10-foot ceilings, so the whole space feels very light, very bright. And with this space, as you can see here, we have tons of windows in here, bringing in tons of natural light to go with those light and bright features that the builder put in here with their color choices and their design elements across the board. So this bedroom, this is I believe a queen size bed. Could be a full size bed, but you could easily fit a queen if it's not a queen. You do have your nightstands on each side as well. And then the closet is a standard closet, but they at least did a nice job here by doing the slider doors with it as well. We also have, as you'll see throughout this home, we do have this craftsman style trim. That trim is going to be more of an upgrade. You'll see it here as well. And that's because they have to cut it on site. It's not just a pre-built, just plop in place. That is something that, because they do it on site, is normally an upgrade. And again, as we go through this home, if you want to know where we're at today, what floor plan we're in, what this home even starts at price point wise, reach out to me with a call, a text, an email. Happy to help answer any questions I can as we go through this model home tour. Then we come to our office. So this office here, it could definitely be closed in if you wanted French doors with it. If you want this to be a bedroom, you could probably make this a bedroom as well. This could be an additional bedroom if desired, but also they left it open as an office because for a lot of people who are going to live in a neighborhood like this that we're in today, again, I'm going to go over where we're at today throughout this video, so do stay tuned. But for a lot of people who live in neighborhoods like this, they desire more of that office here rather than a bedroom. In addition, the builder did some nice built-ins here, so if you are going to utilize it as an office, you could do something similar to this and have tons of storage space for whatever you need it for. And again, it creates a very nice focal point when you come into the space. In addition, we have a lot of recessed lighting in here, which is not always a standard. So if you want to know more on if there's a standard for this, reach out to me. But the way I look at it, you can never have too much lighting, because again, you may not necessarily need to use it, but at least having it does make a huge difference. On the other side, we have our laundry room, and this is a very large laundry room. So this laundry room, we have our side-by-side washer dryer. We also have our sink, and the color choice in here, they still kept some of those greens with the cabinetry in here. So just like that green that we saw in the shower enclosure in that first bathroom, we also see some more greens being utilized in the laundry room, which in my opinion offsets, as you see here too, offsets with that gold hardware. Super nice, super clean. And again, having this little mudroom area here, having this bench to be able to come in from your garage, which we'll add in a moment, to be able to take your shoes off, have a place to store your shoes, have a place to store your hats, bags, whatever the case may be. Again, it just makes too much sense. So I love when builders do that. Then out here, we have our 2-car garage door, or 2-car garage. Very good size. I like the fact that the builder with this model did do the epoxy floor. We also do have the insulated garage door with it as well. Things that are gonna typically be upgrades, but again, when you are building a home with this builder or any other builder, you really have to kind of determine, what do I want to do as an upgrade? What am I going to utilize on a day-to-day basis? And what, again, may make the most sense to do now rather than waiting to do later. Now we get to the kitchen. And with the kitchen, what I do like is you still do get a nice, good size island here. It may not be the largest island, but for a home of this size, it's still really nice to have that. In addition, they did the farm style, singular Kohler ceramic sink, which I think is a very nice, feature. It is sometimes going to be a little less scratch resistant, maybe a little bit more scratch resistant than other materials, but it is a nice clean look with that farmhouse look and feel. You also do have that gold hardware, which definitely offsets extremely nicely with the white countertops and the white, quartz countertops and the white farm sink. Then we have our microwave oven combo, so that is nice to have as well, because by having it as a microwave oven combo, it does allow us to actually have the vented hood top here, which is gonna vent out for our KitchenAid gas stovetop. So this gas stovetop is a 5-burner stovetop, very common, to have that 5-burner here. And again, this is a community that is going to be a gas community, which most new construction is, but most neighborhoods here in Jacksonville, Northeast Florida are not gas communities. So I do like to always reference that, because again, a lot of people who move here do come from up north, they come from out west, where gas is much more readily accessible than it may be here. In addition, everything is soft close. They do have the trash there next to the sink, which just again makes too much sense. I do love the fact that the builder actually did the pull-out storage here underneath the gas stovetop. Again, that's just, in my opinion, the way to do it. Everything is soft close. One thing that could have been nice is if they had done the cabinetry up to the ceiling. That is an upgrade, so that's partially why they didn't do it. But things that they did do that I love is they did the glass inserts here, and they backlit it all as well. So that's just controlled by just one of the light switches, which is very convenient, just looks really good. And you don't have to ever worry about batteries going out or bulbs going out per se. In addition, the backsplash they chose is a little more creative, a little more geometric, and I actually like it more than I would have thought I did. It just pairs really well with the finishes that they chose throughout the space. We also have our KitchenAid fridge here. Again, additional cabinetry and countertops. And again, the perimeter cabinets are white, while the island cabinets are gonna be, again, that more greenish hue. And with it too, they did extend the countertop out a little bit, so you do have some seating area. So you do have more of an eat-in kitchen aspect with this island. But if you're not gonna utilize the eat-in kitchen aspect, if you wanna utilize more of your dining room, this is a great dining room area of the house. It is wide open with the living and kitchen. This is a 6-seater table that you could easily make it to an 8 if you needed to. And back here with the dining room and living room too, they also did a tray ceiling. And with the tray, they did some beams with it as well. So it just gives it a very cool focal point. They could have done more with it, but even with what they did do, it definitely does highlight the space and makes this living room and dining room feel so much bigger. As far as for the living room, it's a great size. I mean, this is a very large sectional couch, and yet you don't feel like you're claustrophobic when you're back in here. It's so big too that, again, if you don't want the sectional, you could do a couch and a love seat combo. You could do 2 couches. There's different things you could do across the board with a space like this. And then again, they did that wood accent with the accent wall with some floating storage to go with your flat screen TV. So overall, great living room. But now let's go outside and check out the backyard. What a beautiful day out, first and foremost. This is actually one of the reasons why I love Jacksonville, is just the weather here, almost year round, you can't beat it, but it is a little bit hot. And so that is where having this covered back porch is awesome, because you have that ability to be able to hang out here year round. Because again, if the sun's too much, you have the shade. If it's raining, you still have it covered so you're not gonna get wet. If you don't wanna deal with the bugs, the builder doesn't have this screened in, but you could definitely screen it in if you desired. So again, it's one of those things that you have options there. In addition, the builder actually did a lot of turf back here to really make it more of like a zero-scape backyard, because when you live in a neighborhood like this, and I've referenced that a couple of times, you're gonna find out later in this video just why I'm referencing that, so you do not wanna miss that, so stay tuned. But by zero-scaping the backyard, it makes it very low maintenance, allows you to really enjoy this nice, beautiful Florida weather year-round, and you don't have to worry too much about having to constantly maintain your yard on a week-to-week basis. So you have a nice little sitting area there, which is convenient. You also, over here, the builder actually did a gas fire pit on this side, so a little bit smaller. You could definitely fit 4 chairs here if you had guests over, but if it's just 2 of you, still fits. And obviously, this model, they did back it up to the lake with preserve, so it has some beautiful views. If you want to know how many lots they have like this that have some nice lakefront views, reach out to me and we'll go over all that as well. But then it takes us to this covered pergola area that, again, is fully covered, so you get tons of shade and it's still usable year round. And back here, you have your 8-seater table. You have some beautiful tile elements that they put down here as well. Still have the flat screen too, so again, if you want to watch sports out here on a nice evening, you definitely could, or during the day. But just a great space to be able to utilize, and they really maximize the use of this backyard. We then also have our outdoor kitchen, so we have storage. We have our Coyote gas grill. Coyote is going to typically be the brand of choice if you have it done with this builder, because the contractor they use, Tier 1 Pools, that is who they tend to use for their appliances out here. We do have additional storage down below there as well. So in general, everything you can need. We also do have quartz or granite countertop here. Typically you're gonna see granite outside, quartz inside, but because they put the granite countertop there, you still do have an ability to use some of the space back here as well for, eating at, more like an eat-in area as well. And then finally, we have our little putting range. So if you're from Florida, or if you're not from Florida, regardless, when you live in Jacksonville, a lot of times people are going to golf quite a bit. We have tons of public courses. We have tons of private courses. We have courses that require memberships that you can get even if you don't live in the neighborhood. So if golf is something that's super important to you, reach out to me, we'll go over all that. But you will see a lot of times people will put these small little putting ranges in their backyard, because again, not every day can you be out on the course. So if you can't be on the course, at least having the putting green work on your short game never hurts either. Now, I can tell you this, I could probably use some practice myself. Overall, as you can see, that was not great. So I could definitely use this in my backyard. Maybe I'll do it myself. But again, it's just cool to have something like this as an option if you desire to do it with this builder or after the fact. But we're not done yet. Let's now go inside and check out the primary that you're going to love. All right, so now as we come into this primary, there's gonna be reasons why you're gonna love it, in my opinion. The primary bedroom is a good size. The primary bedroom is not the reason why I think you're gonna love this space, so we're about to get to the reason why I do think you will. But in this primary, you have some great views of your backyard, especially a beautiful backyard like this. So you get tons of good natural light there with the windows in the back and the windows on the side. In addition, we get the tray ceiling in here as well, so it matches that living room, dining room, and they still did those beams with it as well. So kind of a continuation, kind of a uniformity with it that I do love to see. The chandelier is definitely interesting chandelier, but what I do love about it is they kind of continue that green element, because that is more of a greenish, like jade color, that does go a lot with the other green elements they've had throughout this home, including in our primary bathroom. So I actually love this tile. It's a very interesting tile. It's actually not even tile, my apologies. This is actually a wallpaper. But in general, I do like that wallpaper because it does match the aesthetic of the house, to where you have a lot of these more, neutral whites, white countertops, white cabinets, gold hardware, that green just pops at you. And I love it when builders utilize things like that to really accentuate the space. In addition, with this vanity, we do get tons of countertop space. It does have that little makeup station here, but you could definitely add more cabinetry if you desired it. And then we get to our shower, which, one of the reasons why I think you'll love it is with this shower, you do that step down so that way the water stays self-contained, but it's not a huge step down, maybe a couple inches. But in here, we have a rain head, which I personally think is always a great choice to do if it's something that you think you'd want, because to do it now, when the home is being built, is always going to be more cost effective than doing it after the fact, because then they have to open up the walls to move piping. But included in here, we do have the niche, which is very nice for your toiletries. The tile does go up to the ceiling, which is always a nice clean look. And again, they chose a really nice sleek tile pattern that really offsets with the gold hardware very well because the tile has some gold elements in it. We also have our linen closet there, and it takes us to our primary closet, which I just love these colors. And I do like the fact that the builder did do some custom closets in here to show you what you could do with the space. This is going to be an upgrade that you would have to pay for. Typically with this builder, you're going to get wire rack storage, and that's with most builders, but it's cool to always be able to see what you can do with the space if you really wanted to maximize it. So again, they continue the flooring that we had in most of the house. They did a nice brown, light brown color there, and then you still have some of that gold hardware with it as well, just to finish it off. So great house, great floor plan, but now let's go over where we're at today and just why I think this is one of the next big up and coming communities and neighborhoods here in Jacksonville and Northeast Florida. So what do you think about this home? I'd love to know your thoughts, so let me know if you really liked this layout or if you felt like you wanted to see more. I always like to kind of get people's opinions, so drop a comment and I'll be always there to respond to it ASAP, and give you my thoughts as well in the comment section. But in general, this neighborhood, it's become kind of that next big, community, next big neighborhood here in, Jacksonville, Northeast Florida, and there's a huge reason for that. And when I reference community, it's going to be more the master plan community itself, which where we're at today is Everrange. And the neighborhood we're in is actually the Regency neighborhood within Everrange. And the reason why it's become so popular for people is because of the fact that it's that next big community. You're in Duval County, and a lot of people sometimes want to be in Duval County because they work in Duval County, but you're very conveniently located to the beach, to the St. John's Town Center. Again, we're talking 15, 20 minutes away from both of those things. And there's more maybe development around Everrange that's already done compared to maybe other neighborhoods or communities like Rivertown or Silverleaf. So although I think that they're all great communities, I can understand why sometimes people gravitate towards this area because of its location across the board. And again, Everrange is going to be located south of E-Town and north of Nocatee, which were two master plan communities developed by the Park Group. And the Park Group is the developer of Everrange as well. So if you've ever seen homes in Nocatee, if you've ever seen homes in E-Town, you kind of have an idea of what to expect from a neighborhood standpoint, because this neighborhood's going to be kind of a lot like those as well. So we're going to have our master planned amenities. We're going to have commercial opportunities in the area as well with restaurants, shops, grocery stores, stuff like that, that will allow you to kind of stay within the community. And it's going to be a golf cart friendly community as well, just like E-Town is, just like Nocatee is. So those are going to be big elements that are going to keep people in the area. And it's really, again, why this community is going to be that next big hot community here in Jacksonville, Northeast Florida. But overall, it is one of those things too that, may not be for everyone, but a reason why people do also gravitate towards it is because, again, if you are someone who likes to travel or needs to travel, you're right next to really close to the highway. You're really close to I-95. Everrange just comes right off of US 1. So if you need to go north, south, east, probably not west, or not east, west, probably not too much east because east can take you out to the beach, and that's very short. But regardless, if you need to go in any direction, you're very conveniently located for all that as well. So it has, again, a lot of intrigue for people due to those reasons. But as far as this specific neighborhood, the Regency neighborhood is a gated section of Everrange. It's built by Toll Brothers, and it's actually unique in the sense of that it is a 55 and up community. So again, to buy a home in here, one of the homeowners has to be 55 years or older. So do keep that in mind as you've watched this video, because at the end of the day, depending on what you're looking for in a home, this may not be the right fit for you, or it could be the right fit for you. But Toll Brothers is a national home builder, and they are typically very highly thought of here in the Jacksonville area. And normally, they do really great design elements like we saw today that make them a very popular builder of choice for a lot of people locally, but also a lot of people who come from other parts of the country or even other countries as well. Because I do work with people in the US, but I work with people in other countries like Canada, India, just to name a couple as well. So again, it doesn't matter where you're watching this video from. If you have an interest in buying a home here in Jacksonville, Florida, I can help. Reach out to me because I would love to go over the ways I can help you and your family move to here in Jacksonville. But for this floor plan, we are actually looking at the Adonis floor plan. I actually love the name. It's kind of interesting, the Adonis. It sounds tough, so to speak, but the Adonis floor plan, as you saw today, is the 2-bedroom floor plan as it's standard. It can be a 3-bedroom floor plan as well. So just something to take into account. You can always close in that office. In addition to that, it does have 2 full bathrooms. It has a 2-car garage like you saw today. And it's about 1980 square feet as well, but it's all one level, which is massive because if you don't want to deal with stairs, being one level is almost a guarantee, has to happen. I know myself, I don't love stairs, so I prefer 1-story homes as well. But overall, great floor plan across the board, great neighborhood across the board. You're gonna get amenities for living in Everrange. You may also even get amenities for living in Regency. Sometimes you do see that with these 55 communities, but at the very least, it is a gated community. And then you get it all for a really great price. So again, as I go over pricing and I go over the incentives currently, and Toll Brothers does tend to have a lot of different sales events too. So, reach out to me to learn more about if you're looking to buy a home with Toll Brothers during one of their sales events, because they do sometimes do some really great incentives during those. But in general, with the pricing and with the incentives, they are always subject to change. So what you see now may not be what you see later. So just something to take into account. They could go up, they could go down. They could stay the same. But again, when it comes to the incentives, reach out to me so I can give you the exact incentives right this second, for this neighborhood, for this community. And then and they do have homes in Everrange that are not in 55 and up Regency section too. So stay tuned because in the future, I will show some of those as well on this channel. But when it comes to the price that starts for this specific floor plan, and that's gonna be your base price. It's not gonna include structural upgrades, not gonna include design center upgrades, it's not gonna include the lot premium as well, because here in Jacksonville, Northeast Florida, you are gonna typically have lot premiums for just the lot itself when you do work with any builder. But that base price, you're starting somewhere in the low 500s and you're gonna work up from there. So a home like this, if you do some really nice upgrades like we saw today, you're probably gonna be in the high 6s, low 7s most likely, maybe even a little bit higher. But at least you kind of have a good idea of what you're working with starting out and where it could end up once you make it exactly how you want it. So reach out to me if you have any questions. I love to help you, whether if it's in this neighborhood, a different neighborhood, whether it's with this builder or any other builder, because I'm always wanting to help people, whether if they move to Jacksonville or not, in determining if Jacksonville and whichever neighborhood they choose is the right fit for them. So I'll see you guys in our next model home tour and we'll go from there.